Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for that introduction, which enables me to also remember a little bit of past, because we often forget past. I don't know how mindful we are of the present. We often remember too much past, and which often is more of a problem because people can't let go, being and seeing and experiencing things in the past, and it seems like as it hasn't really passed. People are stuck with past and not even being able to be present in the very time and place that we are best required of our full attention. So there must be some faults in being mindful of the past. As what we remember are accurate. They're so accurate that we can't forget. We believe that what we saw was too real, that we can't either let go or forgive, and hence we are suffering. So this topic is really not so much about miracles of mindfulness, but debacle of mindlessness. Because when we are not present, we are absent. We are absent in the past. And lots of people's problem is all about the past. They still could not come to grip and change their views and opinions. Not knowing those perceptions, the opinions, those views were never accurate in the first place. Nevertheless, we are subscribing to those very wrong views and opinions, and we are gagged by this. We can't forget the past because we are so addicted to our views and opinions as they were accurate. However jaundiced they were, however ill-informed we are not conscious that they were. It might be so difficult to be present. A present moment is so finite. It's not long enough for our conscious ability to be aware of. We want a big chunk of past to hold on to, as it is more substantial, however hollow it might be, however inconceivable and inaccurate they may be. We're not willing to challenge that. We're so addicted that we are actually weighing down all the disappointment, the shock, disbelief as to what happened and what was done to us. It always seems what was done to us, we didn't do anything, did we? It's all what people did to us. We never hesitated that was done to us. And it's all wrongdoing, of course. If we were good at remembering past, we should also remember some good things people did to us. But we quite easily forget them. So we can see so much of the congestions and heavy-heartedness that we feel and we experience seem to be the debacle of mindlessness of the past. We call that in Buddhism truth of suffering. It's a bitter. It's not a sweet one. Usually self-caused, but always pointing the finger to someone else. We seldom find anyone, however near and dear they are, to say that you're pointing the finger to the wrong person. Because they want to support to you. See, they are meant to stand beside you. They're just as deluded and biased and unconscious as we were. We seldom find anyone who can tell the bitter truth. Whole society's energy is completely invested in trying to prove the other wrong. If all our tribes, all our friends and relatives couldn't help, we hire professionals to prove the other is wrong. Doesn't matter how much it costs. We will spend money we don't have. This is the vicious cycle caused by greed, self-importance, poor me, I first, it's my issue. It's all about self-centeredness. And this is exactly what made the Indian Prince Siddhartha some 2,500 years ago was the root cause of the suffering. He had everything you can ask for. He had power, position, wealth, status, respect, company. He had everything that whole world was hoping to get. He had everything that others could try. Will take years to get even a small share of it. He had all of that in his lap, but he still couldn't see any happiness coming from this. They were still suffering of parting from the loved ones, losing the young, losing the only loved one you have. And very few people can cope with that. They are depressed ever since. They thought their suffering, their life's misery was caused by absence of someone. It looks so true to the eyes of others too, you know. He lost his only child or the only mother or whatever it seems. People often think of, I lost such and such, I don't have this and this, and then, of course, about what I lost. Most people aren't. Most people don't have more than two eyes to see the only one eye. They can only see their loss and their things. They couldn't see the universality of that happening to everyone, or is happening to everyone and will happen to everyone. They think, why me? Be that your health situation, or financial, or relationship, or job, or insecurity of it, or whatever the case might be. It seems like it's only me. And others would come and tell you, poor thing, you suffered, and you're a victim of loss, and parting, and betrayal, and whatnot. And we give bombastic terminology what that is as a condition, that you are 1 in 5, they call it. 1 in 4 doesn't suffer what you suffer, poor thing. You just happen to be the 1 in 5. That's so unfortunate. And they give us such label to our condition, however transient and ephemeral they are. They make it as though it is terminal, it is permanent. How accurate is that information, or useful to tell? That only 1 in 5 suffer from depressions, and 4 in 5 don't. Who said that? Young Prince Siddhartha also thought that. First, he thought, but he realized that 5 in 5 suffer from that. So this is the debacle of mindlessness. Not able to universalize the taste of seawater is always salty. Whether it's Bay of Plenty, whether it's Hawke's Bay, or wherever you try the water, even go as far as Invercargill, or as far as Antarctica. All water is salty. Someone told us only 20% of the whole water is salty. For the other 80% is not. That's a lie. See, that's what they call debacle of mindlessness. Not knowing that all seawater is salty. If it gives any comfort, at least you wouldn't be blaming, saying, oh, I live in such a terrible place where the old water is salty. You wouldn't be trying to go somewhere else if you're told they are also salty. So we are hopping around trying to find a non-salty water. It disappointed many times. And then feel that every place we went, or every person we went to, done the wrong thing to us. This kind of projection, jaundiced perception, is what makes us to grasp to things that are impermanent as a permanent, unsatisfactory as a satisfactory, unpleasant as a pleasant. All things are pleasant for a little while, but only for a little while, They're all impermanent. We're told to get permanent jobs. We're told to get permanent relationships. We're told to get permanent your hair color. But every 3 weeks you have to keep doing it. We still can't remember. We still keep buying that is permanent color. But even though the thing you did color last bit long, but you change your mind. You want to change completely red to blue. Or half red, half blue, we do that. Color is confused. What does he want from me? Half of that he wanted blue, half of that he wanted red. All things are conditioned. All conditioned things are impermanent and unsatisfactory. So when the great Indian prince Siddhartha means who has many things accomplished, Siddhartha. Siddh comes from accomplishing, artha meaning meaningful accomplishment. When his father discovered that the birth of his son accompanied many wonderful, miraculous things happening, it wasn't really miracle mindfulness, but miracle of birth of the Buddha. Many good things happen in his kingdom, discover many minds, and all the conflicts were resolved, and sick became healthy, and all became young, and fruitless trees gave mature many fruits, and flowers blossom out of season, and all sorts of things accompanied his birth, in his whole kingdom. And then he decided to give him the name Siddhartha, meaningful accomplishment. All his wishes, some of them was never even his wishes. He never expected the flower to grow out of season, for instance. He probably wanted all his subjects to be nice to him, for instance. But there came so many things that totally blew his mind. Yeah, it was like it's an incredible, indescribable accomplishment to have a son born to him. That was just accompanying his birth. Nothing yet has happened yet. His enlightenment hasn't happened yet. There were so many omens and signs that portends what future is yet to come. No wonder he thought it was a meaningful accomplishment, because if something is meaningful, it's miraculous. Otherwise, what's a miracle? Miracle is pretty supernatural thing, and we don't believe in supernatural anymore. Most people are leaving religion. They thought that some religion have some supernatural power or whatever. People start believing it. Generation after generation wasn't happening, so they are leaving in droves. But people are enticed by the power that your mind has, if it is directed to the right way. So it's not so much of the mindfulness of things, but mindfulness of the mind itself. So I suggest, just to make your time here, to be here, not in the past, to be here, just look at your mind, It's, if I ask you to look at this flower, you will look at this flower. I'll ask you to look at this beautiful, handcuffs, bench. You can see that, or the ceiling, or whatever you can see. The mostly things are visible, or if I ask you to listen, you will listen. There's always some object to which your mind should focus on too. But when I ask to focus on your own mind fully, then what is it? What form or shape or color or size or gender or age that you could determine? Before that, what constitutes the mind? Is it a thing? Is it a conditioned object like the shoes, or like your knee, or like your hair, or like your scarf, or your jacket, or your strip? I mean, everything, but the mind is not any of them. Yet the awareness that's seeking to meet and see, meet and greet the mind is still operational. This cognition. If your eye met with the green light there, of course, That's, you are conscious of the green. That's exit door. You know. Every public meeting room has like that, or two. You know. They haven't thought about four. At least those people on this side can run fast there, these those, I'm stuck here. So if I have to run the exit door, I could go there, you know, or whatever. If you want to get some water, you go to the kitchen or something. But where do you go to see the mind? Is it something visual you can see? Tell me if you can. Something auditory that you can listen to. Tell me what is the sound. You know, there are 60 kinds of sound. Which of that it is? If it's a visual, tell me what shape, what geometrical shape, size, weight, color, age, gender, ethnicity. Does mind have any of this? Or for that matter, smell, taste, touch. You can't do that with the mind. You can't look at the mind visually. You can't listen to the mind auditorily. You couldn't smell the mind. The dogs can smell banana peels. Even say 2 hours ago you had a banana in a bag, but you eaten the banana, they still can tell. They tell there's something in the bag, but there was a banana before, not now. They can tell there was a banana in the bag 2 hours ago before the person disembarked the airplane. The New Zealand customs knows that. They done that with my bag. You know. The dog can tell. Dog can tell there was a banana. The guy, he can't tell, but dogs have informed the police that yes, there was a banana in the bag 2 hours ago, but there is no banana. No, there is any banana peel. Because banana peel was already thrown in the aircraft. But could smell that past banana peel. Or with the banana. I don't know which is dangerous, banana or banana peel. There's neither banana nor banana peel, but the smell is still there. They're alert stranger. Now this is the information we are relying on. Cause of alarm. So you can, same sense, we are sentient beings. Some sentient beings, like dogs, can sniff more than they can see. Ask me what the eagle does better. Eagle can see very far from the very big height. They can spot their prey, however tiny house birds they are, they can see. There may be hundreds of meters in the fly, they can still spot. Some beings can see things from small things. Some can hear, some can smell, some can taste, some can touch, but very few can see the mind. Yet it's not because it's not there that it's not identifiable. That's non-identifiable, but yet this awareness that you are you. That this awareness is called luminosity. This is the light within you, within each of us. If you switch this mind that recognizes the luminosity of the mind, it is said, mind is not found in the mind, but in its luminosity. Luminosity sounds like a visual, doesn't it? Sounds like a visual, but it's not. It's subjective. It's a subjective awareness that it is not any of the above. But yet, still, awareness is still present. Yeah? Yeah. What happens is that when you become aware of this subjective luminosity, you are completely free from past ups and downs, you and other did or didn't, failed or succeed. You don't have any use of those. You're totally free. You can go into that state of self-luminosity where you can be so light. What we call enlightenment is you have to do it. You have to switch on this awareness. You have to switch on this awareness of this awareness. Sometimes we can call awareness of awareness. Because it's not awareness of this or that, or he or she, or yesterday or today. It just is. It hasn't got any expressible terminology that can suffice. It is inexpressible. Yet this awareness is present. It's between past thought and before future thought. It is a minute gap, if you would allow, before you anticipate a new thought or retrieve a past thoughts. That minute but very, very pristine cognition is called awareness. It's consciousness. It's consciousness of consciousness. Seeing or hearing or touching is conscious of unconsciousness. Conscious of the very consciousness, almost like it sweetens everything, in the sense your mind suffering of things, of me, of what he did, what they didn't, what I want, what I didn't want. All of these things are just silenced, naturally silenced. It tranquilizes your craving, your wanting, your grievances, your anger, your source, your object. All of these things are naturally silenced. Now, if you learn how to do that, that's called meditation. Meditation means how to be present. How to be present with the light, with the luminosity, with the consciousness. That consciousness that each and every one of us have is the potential for us all to realize. And not only when we realize that, it actually lifts us in amazing sense of freedom from any kind of pain or cause of pain or hurt. You see, it's so futile to be worrying about those things and then get attached to one or aversive to another. You see the futility of this childlike grievances to one and craving for something. It doesn't require that. You don't have to crave to happen in the future. You don't have to find what you lost in the past. It is there. It is this very sense of luminous awareness that you could experience. This non-conceptual pristine awareness experience requires, to reach that state, we have to undo all the previous habitual patterns. So therefore we might take small steps how to discard all the distractions, wrong views, thoughts, attentions, and slowly you silence, meaning you pacify, you develop detachment from those, and then mind become very, very conscious. And each of you, when you do the meditation, you will almost glimpse it. And it not necessarily will happen in each meditation, because of the majority of people do not want a shortcut straight away go into the what we call bountiful result of mindfulness that miraculously silences and tranquilizes all your sorrows and causes of sorrows. You don't have sorrow. You go beyond sorrow. You don't cause the sorrow now. Now you're conscious how not to cause them. Because sorrow is caused unconsciously. We're holding on to impermanent things as permanent, not you as me, and unsatisfactory things as satisfactory, and body as me, or feelings as mine. One doesn't do that anymore. You can have feelings, but they're just constantly changing. So there isn't anything that is yours when it's constantly changing, you know. Just imagine if you have something coming in your hand that is not there, that goes fleetingly changing, and you can't call it which is mine. Oh, it's here, but it's gone, it's gone again. Where is the thing? Oh, there's another one here too. Oh, he also gone. Yes, it's all gone all the time. Everything's so fleeting. Where do you make sufferings when you know everything's so fleeting? Why you want to grasp to anything as mine or is or permanent? Or suffering comes from grasping as they are yours and they are mine or they're permanent. And caused by others, of course. That's even worse. One doesn't know that oneself is causing the suffering by grasping at impermanent things as permanent. Unsatisfactory things as satisfactory, of course. You bought it, you bought it. You know, why you get disappointed after 2 hours? Is it because of the color, of course, all the big numbers, or you liked it, or what? Or you bought the numbers, or you bought the thing? Yeah, most people buy numbers, that's the problem. Yeah, they hire psychologists to fool you, to make those covers of the things they sell you. You only bought because of the color or because of the few numbers that it looked so attractive, but it lacked any of the contents that you thought it had. We weren't conscious they were unsatisfactory. We weren't conscious they are merely conditioned to look like it's going to be perfect, when actually not. So the young Prince Siddhartha realized all the people's sufferings were caused by this fallacious view that life is about getting satisfaction and happiness, when life is exactly opposite. Life is full of unsatisfactoriness. No matter what you have, what you do, if you don't have the mindfulness for what they are, you will misperceive them for what they're not. You hold impermanent things as permanent. You know, you go and hoard and keep things you will never use. And you wouldn't mind spending all the time and effort thinking you will have lots of time to use those things you will never use. You only have the suffering to make yourself slave to hoarding things, to getting things, and always even hiding things from oneself. And most people, I are told, they hide things in Switzerland, Swiss bank. Swiss bank. Did you hear all those corrupt Nepalese officials in Nepal? All of the money is put in a Swiss bank. They will never get a visa to get there in the first place. You know, lots of people are hiding money even from themselves, never daring to spend, use, give for good purposes and causes. So people are saving for the time they will not have to spend on time. So they are just making themselves, enslaving themselves to work hard like a donkey for the years they will never live. Even if they do live long, they can't enjoy any of them because by that time they can't see anything, even with eyes. I don't know when they can see with the mind. Because their mind was never literate, you know. Eyes were literate to read French or Japanese or English or whatever. Eyes could read with conventional writing, but mind can never read the mind. So when we become so ultra materialistic, chasing after material things, that's where we suffer the debacle of mindlessness. So therefore, to spiritualize is being able to see the sigh of relief, to not to grasp to things that are unsatisfactory, because they are all conditioned. All things that are conditioned, be that a chair or a building or whatever, they have use by date. No matter how long they're impressive they are only good after a certain time. After that, it's no. Everything is impermanent. And this was the greatest mindfulness miracle you can see. That if you accept that all things change. So much of our disappointment, not accepting things, is because we refuse to accept that things can change. Not because someone really benefited by doing the change, but they had no control over the things. The change is inevitable. But suffering doesn't have to be because things change. Suffering is optional. If you knew things were impermanent, then you don't suffer because they do change. You have the mindfulness to know all things change. That this isn't just me and my job, or me and my health, or me and my position or security or whatever. But yet many people are still suffering because they don't have the mindfulness to remember and to see everything is impermanent. So those who believe in the teachings of the Buddha, follow the Buddha, they meditate, try to meditate, to remember that death, for instance, parting, for instance. Death is inevitable if you are born. You don't need to have cancer. You don't have to be 80-year-old. You just have to be born. So if your 3-year-old dies in your lap, many have much younger ones died in their lap. They never got to even see their only newly born child because one happened to be working somewhere and never saw it. There's so many similar stories. How many have never got to hug their only child or rescue them or nurse them? So don't mourn and groan on your loss of the only child. Many have. You will have many who have lost in more grievous situation than yours. Once you start to accept that these kind of inevitable things happen, then you have the mindfulness which miraculously enables you to let go and not say, poor me. This happens to all. This will happen to many. This is happening to some right at the moment, as we speak. Therefore, we will not over-personalize. Over-personalize means poor me. We will universalize fairly and squarely that this happens to all things that are born, dies. All who have met parts. all that are assembled and accumulated are squandered. You don't have to squander. It will squander you. It will prove the futility of you as the owner. You can't even ride the horse. You have 12 of them. One has all these amazing saddles for each horse in the stable, all this, but you can't even ride one. All accumulation squanders you. Most wealth makes you to do all the wrong things. You lose friend, you fight over things, over people. Your only sister, your only mother, you're not speaking to, over that miserable table. Or whatever. Could be even less than that. Yeah, people do awful things when they lose their mind. So we have to not lose our mind. If you want to see the miracle of mindfulness, we've got to go and lasso the mind where it is. Try to find the lasso to find the mind. Of course, you got the lasso in your hand, don't you? Yeah. Just pretend like this. Yeah, I'm a son of a Tibetan shepherd, you know. So I know how to hold that lasso. See, you don't throw the lasso everywhere, you know. However long the lasso is, you got to make sure that you got to sight the object to catch, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, many people have thrown the lasso all over the place. And the thing, it got dragged them so many places. They regret that they actually caught it in the first place. Yeah, power, position, wealth, status, relationship, connections, all these things people are lassoing for. Their whole life has been lacerated, being dragged everywhere, chasing things that you thought would bring you some pleasure or benefit or somewhere, but it only brought all these hurts and pains. So this is if one becomes mindfulness of seeing unsatisfactory things as unsatisfactory things. Why? They're afflicted. They're caused by afflicted emotions, makes you believe they are when they're not. So one has been fallaciously misled by one's own affliction, greed, desire, craving, and wanting this, not wanting this, made us to go things after things that are more cause of the heartache and problem than cause of any benefit. People have fought over things against their loved ones. They're taking each other to court. They fought over $2,000, but spent $20,000. They gave it to somebody else. And they're not going to return $20,000. But yet, because people don't know they're doing this, they thought the other one made you to do these things. This is called vicious cycle, samsara. Samsara is not a place. It's where we go in a whirlpool. Samsara is a confusion. It's not a place. It's where people are misled by their own craving for name or possession or position or security or whatever, but when it's actually exactly the opposite. So, if you have any sign of mindfulness, it is knowing that all things are unsatisfactory for long term. But you don't tell that to yourself. You just look at the bottom of the product, see how much what is best before, and then you know that, don't you? Because all the products got best before means worse after. They don't say worse after. No. I don't know why they do that. I wish if I was a manufacturer of anything which I want, I will put worse after, or maybe even before. The thing about that is then you never get disappointed when it is. Because you're telling the truth. You're telling the truth right from the very beginning. There's no disappointment. It's bitter truth. As I said, it's a bitter truth right from the very beginning. You knew that. But we don't have the mindfulness that things are only good for a little while and not thereafter. Even medicine, be poison. It was medicine before midnight. But poison after that. Yeah, some people's friendship was only good until midnight. After that, it went all south. It only was good for at a particular time. After that, it was bad to worse. Not because of the other, not because of you, but because of the relationship. The relationship is contingent over suitability and how convenient it is to both. If it's not good for both, if it's bad for one, it's already finished. The question is whether the other one is able to accept that is the case. But many people don't. And that's the lasso I'm talking about. People feel they were dumped or ignored or whatever because they're attached to the object that does not have anything used by a left. It's finished. But yet, person doesn't accept. Same could be loss of someone who died, who left you due to their own sickness or death or whatever. We feel devastated. Not because they left you, because you're attached to it as permanent. It wasn't permanent, poor thing. They would have tried their best. They would have tried their best to extend the visa. But they couldn't extend that. It's irrecoverable. Yet, people think this happened only to me. Because they're not able to accept the miracle of mindfulness that everything is impermanent. If you put a small bumper sticker in your wall, everything's impermanent. Keep looking at that every now and then. It will help you. It definitely will help you to let go some things yet that you weren't willing to let go. Because it is the most important teaching worthy of engraving on the rocks for us, because we forget them so easily. When things are happening that are no longer same, we think it's this untimely, it's unfair, and why you do this in such an hour or what? And we are rebelling against the reality. All the sufferings are caused by this lack of mindfulness. Incredible thing about mindfulness as a miracle is it sets you free from grasping, holding onto a dead body, thinking it's still your child. I mean, we are also a dead body with consciousness. That's the only difference. Sitting on a chair and going to Taradale public. meeting. Oh, this amazing living people. I mean, it will be a history in some years after. We're not that far from joining our ancestors. They really miss us. If they think abandoned by us, we have a good reason to join them. as if they'd be delighted. I don't know, they'd be delighted. We are actually telling them, why you left me so early? They actually said that, They actually said that when the people wailing at the loss of somebody, why you left so early? Look at this, all these beautiful things. Oh gosh. There's some culture have this wailing culture. When some loved one dies, the more wailing you do, the better they prove that you love them. All of a sudden they become very eloquent because they suffered. They suffer unprecedented loss that nobody has ever experienced before. People are so good at thinking how big an issue it is to them. It's a shock to them. It's a disbelief to them. They don't realize this happens every day. Every Jack in jail goes through this. It's not just today that we are going through this, but yet most people are not mindful that it is. And hence, we suffer more because we are not able to have the ability to subscribe to the view, all things are impermanent. Because firstly, of course, when all things are impermanent, but most people, all things impermanent means everything's changing. Even as we speak, things are changing. There isn't anything staying same. Look at the tides. Look at the weather. Look at the nature. Look at your garden. Look at the road. Look at your political system. Look at the relationship between your neighbors or friends or particular family situation. Where were they? Why are they not in that place? They're not talking at all. They were best friends, but neither of them want anything to do with each other. They hate it, but they love it. So stupid, isn't it? Because they don't know what they're doing. So they're so unconsciously. So being able to remember that, to be mindful that this is nature of all things, almost cures you from the hurt, from the loss, from the pain, from the blaming, from the resentment. You don't have resentment if you realize these things, because it's not fault of this or that, or it's nature of things. When the nature sweeps your house, when the flood comes, you don't go to the water and fight with it, rebuke with it, prove it's wrong and all that. You just say, that's it, it's Mother Nature. See? When we think it's people made mistakes, oh, no way. That is not nature, Nature made disasters, tolerable. People made disasters, not tolerable. They're going to be proven wrong. Oh, yes, you will get a lot of sweet victory afterwards. Yes. People spend all this effort and money try to prove human-made mistakes are punishable. Is they going to have a lot of sweetness, benefit? It's just totally waste of time. Money, resources, time, effort, all completely down the drain. So we're talking about miracle of forgiveness, for instance. If somebody appears to have done something wrong to you, the most effective way to resolve that is forgive them, for they did not know what they were doing. There must be many adversities in their life that press them, that pressurize them, that stress them to make them do, unconsciously do, to themselves, to us, not to mention consequences. Is it not the fact? Would have they done that if they knew that would be the consequences? No, they wouldn't. They're completely under the sway of greed, hatred, ignorance, negative friends, alcohol, drug, stress, sorrow, all these things, poor thing. Mindfulness, miracle mindfulness is knowing what are the causes that made the person to do unconsciously that has this adverse effect to others, which he had no idea what he was doing, but yet we think he did. He's totally out of his depth. That's the reason why you forgive. Because we're totally unaware. There are many forces, negative things happening in their life. The stress of it, the pressure of it, just was too much for the person to know where they were, what they were doing, to themselves or let alone us and the consequences. It's on the basis of that you can mindfully forgive somebody. If you can, not lots of people don't have this power, by the way. I'm not saying I have tons. But when you do switch your mind into this awareness, it's incredible. You can see your mind where the person didn't see his and then lost the direction. And only come to realize later on, oh, wrong way. By that time, all the harm's been done to himself, to others, and we were just never in the picture. They never even knew you were affected. But yet we think they did it deliberately to us. He wasn't even aware that it has affected that much when they themselves has been suffering that much, poor thing. Now, if you have all this awareness, luminosity I'm referring to, is the mind that actually sees the seeing and becomes the seer. Mm-hmm. Why pray to God if you can do this? God's supposed to be seer of this. And if it enables you to see this, that is the light that you need to switch on. Why we want to light, that there be light and never switch it on? Let there be light, let there be light. Nobody goes to turn it on. Let's do that. Can we try? We just turn off the lights, and then everybody say, let there be light, let there be light, let there be light. Oh, this mantras doesn't work, We actually have to go and turn on the light. Turn on the light, practical things. So when we become conscious about if you don't forgive, the sooner you forgive, the better it is. The less later and later you delay, the more resentment, cause of resentment it becomes. So one is medicine, the other is poison. What that is medicine is a miracle. It cures you from blaming, from resentment, from guilt, from anger, from overreaction, from danger of alcoholism. Yes, when people don't have mindful, then they mask the problem with alcohol. Then back to worse. If you become mindful, the more sooner you be mindful, that much less you will suffer. And it won't have impinge on the others. Why? Because you know how to prevail suffering onto others. That's the miracle. That you can actually stop the spillage, that it has consequences to others. So where does this awareness comes from? If we do not have the awareness of this itself. So you got to give some time to do that. It's called meditation. And being present. You have to first firmly learn how to do it, and then later on it almost applicable with everything you do. Whatever you're doing, you become much more calculated, careful, and therefore learn how to moderate it and tailor it, pace it, time it, occasion it, and objectify it. And all of these by subjective awareness of your own awareness. Like spinning the wool. You have a spindle in one hand, you have the wool in another, and chances of this big chunk of wool becoming very fine thread is not that great. Yet, if you know how to moderate the effort of spinning the spindle and sort of feeding the little piece of the wool onto the spindle, and then slowly doing the spinning and holding the wool and the spindle and the effort of spinning the balance. This Buddha used this of mindfulness. How you should. So it's not, you don't have to be meditator, you have to be a spinner. You have to be a weaver. You have to be a carver. You could be doing anything with your hands. When you pay your full attention to it, it's such a meticulous result comes. Incredible. We call professional people who really do it very well. But do people do it wholeheartedly, willfully? We hope so. But lots of people are doing professionally, but disheartenedly. Not really wanting to do it from here. And that's the cause of stress. That's the debacle of mindlessness. If any effort you do wholeheartedly, such as volunteer job, or you don't do for the sake of monetary reasons, but you do it because you love the benefit it has to him or her or them, and when you start doing that, you will begin to see the joy that comes from that. No monetary value can match that joy. Like, I'm sure there are lots of people among you do a lot of volunteer works. When you do wholeheartedly, how much happiness, joy, your generosity of time and energy and effort brings you to almost as if you're flying. You don't get tired, you don't get exhausted, you don't even know when is when. When your mind so with it. Being meditation means being with what you're doing, wholeheartedly, not doing something and thinking something, and that's the deficit of attention, debacle of mindlessness, cause of stress. Karmically, emotionally, it depletes your energy. It tire you more than what you have done anything. You barely started, you're already exhausted. When mind is not with it wholeheartedly. When the mind is doing it wholeheartedly, it gives you the energy that you thought it would take. It gives you the power and energy. It even could make your health improve because your heart and mind and body and spirit are all together. That's why the mindfulness practices is reported to have huge pathological behavior and emotional benefit to the people as well as service providers. They find it a lot easier if the so-called consumers are responsive not only to the medication but to the meditative state, the awareness with which they receive the care. The placebo effect of positive thinking is far more beneficial. And the miracleness is the change, the miraculous change, the change it brings to you, you know, that it totally makes you to be in the state of habits or thoughts and the feelings that you previously were drowned into. You're all talking about how you were made to feel by somebody else. Now you don't do that. You know, your feelings are conditioned by many things. It cannot be concocted by someone else unitarily. It is all interdependent and contingent about many factors. You're mindful of that. So you don't point finger to somebody as the cause of the author of your problem, nor to yourself, it's all did by myself because you have some nice feeling for a little while. No, you don't get drowned in any of those topsy-turvy feelings. You know, all feelings are impermanent. Even the pleasant ones can quickly turn into unpleasant. If not, you will lose it. Oh, the pleasant was no longer there. It's absent now. All of a sudden it's not there. Because you lost the pleasant feeling, then you become more miserable. See, it quickly becomes pleasant, become unpleasant. And vice versa. This kind of things happen interchangeably. When you know the interchangeability of feelings, therefore you don't grasp to the good, averse to the bad. You see both as the same, worthy of not attachment to any kind. This is the fitness. This fitness to let go, even pleasant ones, not holding on to it, and not being aversive even to the difficult ones. When difficult feelings, if you let go easily, then it taught you so much to let go other things, not just that. Because now you are not only able to let go when things are slipping out of your hand, even those that are in your possession fairly comfortably for the next 10 years, you're not attached to them anyway. You don't even know it's they're yours. It's better somebody else used it. Because most of the time you're not using them anyway. You just have the misery of being the hoarder, and boarder, and keeper of it. Why you want to do that? When somebody can benefit to use it for the things that you're not using, you rather have the benefit of giving than keeping. See? Now you have real miracle mindfulness to able to give. See the benefit of giving than demerit of keeping. See? This is what we call. So miracle mindfulness, that it empowers you to do things you previously thought your hands were tied. You're tight-fistedly tied as if you will need it, I will need it, it's all my only thing type of thing. Within days you would be so delighted that someone who needed more than you are using it and making them happy. And that's the miracle of giving. Mindfully. Previously, you're locking your doors. You're always worried about this will happen, that will happen. Now you don't need to. You're not the prisoner of your things. You're master of your things. You have power to give and benefit others. This is a miracle of giving. Because you're mindful. For the suffering it causes in keeping and hoarding and worrying and insuring and I don't know what else you have to do. Insuring the insurance again. You have to insure the container, you have to insure the content, you have to insure all this, the possessor, you have to insure the name, you want to insure basically everything. even your truth. I know somebody who insured his lips. I can't believe it. Because he was such a bilabial singer, you know. You know, bilabial singers do need their lips very, very good form. You know? They don't realize that the lips are unsatisfactory aggregates. People are so attached to things. The mindfulness don't. They are not attached to things. But they use them while it lasts. So therefore you have the benefit of not only using, but also benefit of empowering others to use it. There are lots of things, you know, there are things that if you gave to somebody, it will greatly benefit them like second to none. It's better than many times you will use it. You have empowered them to do. Yeah, because a lot of people amongst you, and I know others elsewhere, that they've been helping an orphan, say 20 years ago. They're sending like, say, maybe $50 a month, or maybe not even that. But they've been sending that ever since, you know. In 20 years, they visit that child or whatever, become really so much benefited by your generosity. And they have studied very well, they have educated, they are doing good things in the community, whatever. You wouldn't believe how your gift can empower others. When we do small acts of kindness and generosity, that's a miraculous outcome. You wouldn't believe the result will be such a cause of delight to them and you and everyone else. They actually say in the villages, oh, I have a benefactor in Australia. When we look at who the benefactor in Australia is not a very well benefactor at all. They are pretty poor. They're making the ends meet quite struggling, but they nevertheless thought that how much that little thing they gave means so much over there. Incredible. Small acts that you never thought of saving, but you thought what giving was better than saving. This is what we call mindfulness of what you do with things you have, instead of letting them become cause of worry, anxiety, fear, insecurity, doubt, all sorts of things. You know, a lot of people have things that have become cause of problems. Their things has not become cause of joy or empowering others, not. But those who have learned to practice kindness, generosity, forgiveness, tolerance, and acceptance, and forgiveness, confession, if they did all this, these are the amazing changes and joy and freedom of upset, because you mindfully took up that and not thinking, I will do it sometime later, not putting them off, not procrastinate those good acts of kindness to do later, but do it as soon as you are able to. And that will lift your spirit, lift your health, lift your mind, and also your whole persona. You will see yourself differently. Nobody can change you if you don't. If you do good deeds, speak kind words, think positive thoughts, if you have become cognizant of how, then that's where you are now seeing your mind. You are now conscious of what to do, what to say, what not to think. You know how to choose those 3 doors: guard the mouth door, guard the hand door, guard the physical door, guard the thought door. This is mindfulness. Buddha said, simply guard the 3 doors. Three doors. Body, door of the body means what you do with, by this body. Often people are doing harmful things by this body, through this body. They're putting stuff that are bad for the body through the different orifices. All this drug and alcohol, mainly through these orifices. And maybe here too, I don't know which orifice you have tried. You wouldn't believe how people do things. Sniffing glue, can you imagine? So desperate, as they couldn't smell anything. People so craving for temporary pleasure for the senses because they haven't got any six senses themselves. So the mindfulness, which we are really talking about, is being able to see your mind. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Why you have this opinion? Do you really think the opinion is helping you? If it doesn't, why you keep it? It's been caught there. It's a stale opinion. Ever since you held that opinion about him or her or your mom or your dad or your friends, it has soured your relationship. It's not that they did this, it's your opinion about them that you need to be mindful of destroying, obliterate that opinion. You're suffering the opinion, not them. Your opinion of them is more cause of suffering than what you think they did or didn't. It's very two different things, One is fact, another is fiction. And we never check which is which. All the fictitious views, you just all decide in your mind that it is so. You never checked whether there's any facts to support it. Propped up by wrong convictions. Poorly supported scaffolding. It looks very, very, very flimsy, isn't it? It will collapse one day soon. It will be a very hard hit. A lot of people are totally supported by flimsy, uncontested, wrong views. And form the opinion about someone important in your life, you completely misperceive them, see them wrongly, and misinterpret them, and ungrateful toward them. And you so amplify your misreadings as that was accurate. All the accurate pictures were not even remembered. Incredible. People lose their mind when they blame things in people. When they look at their own mind, if they ever do, it will start shaking the real ground. It needs to change. Life is too precious. It's because much of the time has been wasted on this. How much time have you got to start living? Are you going to live like that next 2 years? Do you think you have got 2 years? Well, let's say 5 years, to be generous. How much of that are you going to delay, like before? So this kind of challenge we need to do, this kind of thing that Prince Siddhartha did when he sat under the tree, gave up food and company and comfort, luxury and everything, and he went under the tree and sat and looked at his own mind. And that's what brought enlightenment. All these stars twinkling. He just has amazing revelation to see his mind and not misinterpret them with things. So each and every one of us has got a mind. I mean, if I'm talking about a subject that you don't have, probably you wouldn't be here. Because all of you have a mind, you are here. You really wanted to see how best we can attend to our mind, It's really good, If nobody can attend to it, by the way. Others can't attend to it. Buddha simply showed the way. And no one can reveal it to us, show it to us, but we need to witness it ourselves. An incredible thing about that is that when you're starting to keep some quiet time, peaceful prayer or reflection, and have learned to be mindful of your own mind. Of course you can be mindful of objects and things and body and feelings and people, but in the end they are all reflection of the above. So it's good to know the reflector. Good to know the mind itself. See, it can be spotted, you know. It could be sighted, you know. You can't be sighted by eyes. They say in the old days in India, the rishis means seers. These are saints, or these are just wise people, you know. More than wise people. They're pretty crazy people. Most people are not that sane to do the right thing. You know, so they consider it crazy actually, because there's so few. Daredevil, I call it. Daring. I'm not talking bungee jumping here, okay? Daring to give up your wealth, possession, you know, life and wealth and power and everything, but go and sit under a tree and meditate. And to the surprise, shock of everyone, they loved, you know. Yeah, because this young man realized that human beings are lost in their materialistic pursuit. Their spirituality, their humanity is lost in the pursuit of material progress. And this shocked him. He saw his father, he saw his grandfather, all were kings, very ruthless kings, aggressive, powerful, you can call it. Someone will be called destructive. You can call powerful king means what? They're destructive to others. And he doesn't want to do any of that. He wasn't enchanted or inspired to keep such a ridiculous tradition. It's all about killing others and saying armed victories and putting your little banner on somebody else's castle and putting all the legitimate owners into jail and doing this here, doing that there. He was not enchanted by any of that. He found it repugnant to do that. He wasn't inspired or motivated to do any of that, and then went instead in search of how the suffering of the world that nobody wanted could be stopped. And that was his call, big calling in him. It wasn't about him, it was about a woman who lost her only 12-year-old or whatever. Then how can I stop death? How can I stop aging? How can I stop sickness? How can I stop parting? How can I stop losing what you have? And he really wants all of these so-called sufferings to stop. And when he checked carefully, investigated and researched carefully, all of this was because of birth. And he said, damn it. He said, it's all fault of birth. But he wasn't blaming to Adam and Eve or anything like that, because he was pre-Adam and Eve. Those who invented Adam and Eve doesn't exist than the Buddha. Buddha was pretty well ahead of everyone. But there was still some Indian religion that did believe in some kind of creation or some sort, He shook his head. He straight away didn't buy it. He was pretty smart, Then he realized birth, what caused the birth? realize the karma, the actions, physical actions of cause of the birth, parents, of course, and the parents, didn't really want to bring that kind of child or any kind of child, but yet they are stuck with that kind of child. There are many people who are parents who didn't want any child, but yet they found children, and when they have children, they thought they would be cause of joy and happiness, but it turned most of the time quite a lot of the opposite. Yet parents didn't have any clue what they were doing, who they were bringing into this world, what they were into and all that. They're totally unaware what they were doing. So he realized birth is caused by action, yeah? Action causes suffering, and this action and suffering caused by ignorance, unawareness, misunderstanding. Incredible. He couldn't believe. People go 30 years in school and education facility to educate themselves, but still not learning anything about the cause of their actions, which is often under the pretext of ignorance, selfishness, greed, hatred, defeating others, proving others wrong. All these kind of actions has on reactions. Reactions have more reactions, and consequences have consequences. Consequences have consequences. So the birth, aging, sickness, and death, all caused by action. Actions caused by afflictions. Afflictions. Afflictions is a mental condition. It's not a thing, And why people are afflicted? Because they didn't know. They didn't know, poor thing. Because no one told them that's wrong. They didn't realize. They were told it was due to Adam and Eve. Oh, really? Who were they? Let's go and throw a stone at them. These kind of doctrines are taught people, People are so naive. They have double degrees. They hang them on the wall, but they still believe in such things. Buddha was well ahead of time. He knew that. That's the basis of all the ignorance. Ignorance means absence of knowing. Even objective knowing, let alone subjective. So there is incredible karmic relationship between children and their parents from past incarnations. And so he was able to then, his range of awareness was so great, not only sickness and death and parting, but all the actions that causes the birth, how it was caused by action that was caused by unawareness, ignorance, and this was going round and round and round and round, and this he realized as a vicious cycle of ignorance. And if you look at majority of people's life, they're going round and round, repeating the same vicious cycle of mistakes, unless they come to their knowing that I've got to stop here and pause for a cause. And again, come to their senses. And almost like a huge curse lifts your spirit. The enmity, the ill will, the anger, the blame, guilt, all are due to this affliction. There is no enemy out there worse than affliction. But affliction, when you search for it, you wouldn't believe how concurrent it is, how regular it is. When you recognize the affliction as affliction, which most people don't, when you do, That's the opening of the mindfulness. It's this thing. One's own unawareness being consciously cognized. Awareness of the unawareness. And this therefore put a break to your habit to not let that happen. Because you know where the root cause of suffering is. When the root cause is ignorance, when you know the ignorance, it's not ignorance, is it? It's awareness. Now that is the light. Straight away there's some kind of a penny drops. Straight away you come to realize, it's inability to pause to see these has made me to go snowballing so much. Just pausing daily prayer and meditation, you enable you to put a break and to stop this habitual pattern to perpetuate itself. This ability to pause and gain the clarity and see that even afflictions are not permanent. Thank goodness. Even afflictions are impermanent and preventable, reducible, and they don't have a life of its own. They're also conditioned. All conditioned things are impermanent. So when you decondition it, it doesn't condition. Now you know how to decondition ignorance. Through awareness, you become much more conscious of the consciousness, and unconsciousness is detected very frequently because you're doing the pausing very more frequent. Because of that, almost like some kind of a radiance return to your skin. That internally your whole fiber or tissues or your whole psychophysical organs get informed and reformed by this awareness. You will start feeling incredible spaciousness and pulsation happening in your psychophysical organ on a cellular level, that you can basically jolt the cause of sufferings and destroy it from the root cause. Power of mindfulness can cure, prevent disease from spreading or developing, and slow its growth, particularly with the help of good habits. It's because you've got to change your habit now. Now you know how actions that are consummated under the sway of afflictions. Now there's no action caused by the affliction because affliction is not allowed to promote. There's no promotion of affliction. There is restraint of the affliction. Restraining of the affliction, actions are no demand, no supply. No actions are consummated, verbally, physically, mentally, because there is a big in charge has come in. Yeah. This super intelligence, mindfulness, incredibly lifts you inside. You actually feel light and spacious and insightful. The merit of benefit of lack of ill will. You can see that. You can taste the sweetness. That you start feeling well because you don't do ill will. You see futile. You feel childish to do any ill will. For however long it was, it's so a waste of time. Such a crap. Who wanted to visit another day? See, this is the revulsion. This amazing sense of upliftment that will happen. A lot of people, when listening to the Buddha, first sermon, they got it. They straight away enter into the consciousness, entering in the stream of mindfulness. Stream enter, they call it. Your mind will now discover how a stream of thoughts you shall invent. You'll go follow that follow. You will not go in the wrong way. Stream enter, they call it. If you enter, you now should abide in that. Whether you can abide long or not is up to your merit or lack of it. Yeah? So when you can inject the meritorious effort and thoughtfulness to it, then you can abide in that state, not just in the formal meditation, but while you're doing other things. Some people might be doing things that you normally find a bit offensive, but it doesn't offend you at all. It seems so appropriate to be challenged by such things, because you happen to be looking for that. If there was objectively designated or subjectively contingent. You can see the contingence of your subjective awareness or lack thereof, nothing to do with provocation, if you have the power to not to react to it. You can totally deactivate the provocation. You're no longer at the whim of conditions, because you have the power from within you. Because of that, you can cancel the consequences of other people's action becoming yours. Why should you react just as badly as they have instigated you when you think what they did is wrong? Double demerit, that's what you're looking for? Of course not. Of course, you can cancel even one. The first instigator, you can cancel it. You can now cite it. And what you don't think is more important than what they did. See, now you have become real mindfulness of your thought. You're not worried about what they did. You're concerned about what you will think instead. I'm sure when you allow your mind to be attentive, you will see there is amazing yearning and ability that you want to seek this capacity, because your reaction of the thoughts about what they said or did was really, really, really irresponsible. Had you thought this way and not react that way, it would have not have any of the consequences that you thought was caused by them. You become completely responsible in terms of taking full responsibility from here end, rather than thinking, he made me to do it. Why are you so foolish to be made to do that? You don't have a mind of your own? And that's exactly, we want to be independent, we want to be free, but when we don't want to practice. We want to be swayed by other people. We don't have any ability to stop and pause the cause from further deterioration. See, this is exactly what I'm saying. If the aging and sickness and death caused by birth caused by action caused by affliction, and now affliction can be, Buddha said, root cause of suffering is not actions of others or yours, but affliction. So it's the affliction that we have to apprehend. If you can recognize the affliction from its infancy, then you can stop it from its generating greater and greater. There's no full blown up affliction that comes that ends up in your lap. It is homemade. We ourselves are unconsciously creating anger and ill will and judgment. We didn't know there was any consequences, because it's all them, remember? They made us to do, remember? In this society, in this sort of society, there's always try to see who's wrong. They never say whose affliction it is. They say whose action is wrong. They're pretty cute. They're looking for the action. They couldn't go further than that. Because they never look up. They can't have any sensing device. Any cause for the action. Ignorance. In Buddhism, they say there are 4 causes of the actions, negative actions. Yeah, they're ignorance, carelessness, disrespectfulness, and excessive affliction. Ignorance. Person didn't know what they were doing. Most chances are, a lot of the things are, person didn't know they were doing that to you, let alone to them. They wouldn't be doing that if they knew the consequences to them and to you. So if people did out of ignorance, people say, oh, he didn't know about it. If you knew that he didn't know about it, you tend to forgive them. Incredible. So sane, so simple. And majority of wrongdoings are often caused by this. Some may be carelessness on top of ignorance. Others just disrespectfulness. They blatantly disregarded you. On top of these two, see, it gets worse. And the fourth one is due to excessive affliction, stress, anger, jealousy, pride, self-importance, all these things, because when they're so full of these things, they don't even know any of these other things involved. So it becomes 84,000 afflictions get all grouped up. 84,000 is a very, very Indic word, number, that means very big. 84 Mahasiddhas, they call it. 84 means pretty close to 100. Pretty close, only 16 more. 100 means finished. So we're talking about whether we could have, through our effort, I'm sure there are lots of among you who meditate, A lot of time our meditation, we are doing various prayers, chanting mantras and so on, breathing and so forth. But point of all those above is being able to see our mind and become very conscious of its luminous power, its impressible, incredible, pristine awareness to see impermanent things impermanence. That your name, your ethnicity, that you feel like defending isn't merely label. It's just a name only. It's not worth of fighting for it. It's complete waste of time. But most people are doing just that. They're fighting for their name. They're fighting for their tribe. They don't mind killing other people on the way, which is also other tribes. So people doing all these things. You can see the international conflicts in Gaza and everywhere, all this. It's such a pitiful situation the world is heading towards. If you bring it in an interpersonal level, where you have certain conflicts and disagreement and upset and anger, you need to come to your senses not to do those anymore. How long you want to keep on believing to this fallacious view as being accurate? So, enough is enough. It's got to stop. So much time is being wasted. We have not enough time left to waste anymore, but try to reclaim those we have lost, if at all. This kind of effort makes people rise up early, or do the practices, teach each other. The center here, the lady mentioned how many activities we've been doing all these years. The very role of the Buddhist center, whether they are Tibetan or Theravadan or any Buddhist groups, whether they are monk-orientated centers or similar like yourself, like trying to facilitate that meditation, they all try to promote this strategy to make peace and give it a chance and not head for woeful results by the childish reactions that is counterproductive, that are awfully negative and destructive. And stand up and stop and rise up and feel light and don't be snowed under the stories of for me, but rather universalize that with fellow others and then try to raise this a bountiful harvest of yielding mindfulness. I'm sure there is a lightness and insightfulness that your heart and head both will link in the language in which you neuro-linguistically think and not think, and choose to not to think, and choose to think this, and see how much incredible opening, spaciousness, and upliftment, and freedom, and liberation that you will experience. Your feet wouldn't touch the ground, for you have reason to feel light and delighted by the discovery of mindfulness at home, in the kitchen sink level. Whatever you do, there is what you do with grace, dignity, humility, generosity, tolerance, endurance, acceptance, and understanding. Just because we do doesn't mean others should do. We understand what others can't do. We just don't want to judge others. We just know everyone is in different situations, often inconvenienced by their life stress and situations. So we don't judge. For others not being like us, or try a little harder than us, or unable to not try anything. There must be some weight on his shoulder. Poor thing. He would love to do. Why wouldn't? He has more stress that's impinging on his ability. We fail to know that. We unhesitatingly judge and make negative comparisons. That's not understanding. That's misunderstanding. So we become cognizant of the kind of thoughts we form. We call sanskara, mental formation. How do we form our opinions, thoughts? Is what we think of him or them is really what they are, or is just mere pigment of your imagination? People seldom think it's all my thought. They think what you think is what is actually reality. When you check with the fact, it's completely opposite. See, you know how to do this. You see, the mindfulness can enable you to not to go into wrong areas, not through the wrong mental formations. It will alert you that you are. You're losing your luminosity, clarity, kindness, and gentleness. You can tell you're slowly losing your grip to those. You're going through the opposite of clarity, that is obscurity. Compassion, that is judgment. Opposite of calmness, that's agitation. You can see them very clearly from your own mental habitual patterns. Because now you are seer of your own thoughts. And the effect they have to your feelings and emotions and perceptions and opinions, they're not some ready-made things that people deliver at your door. They are homemade. They are homemade cookies. Too much sugar in there. Not a lot of organic stuff happening. I can see there are lots of things people want to say. Please, if you do want to share or comment or question, do. Thank you.
Tēnā koe, Rinpoche, thank you. I mean, how do you follow up with something after a talk like that? What a different world would be in if only people understood better what drives our minds, our lives, our choices. Thank you so much, Rinpoche. As we've mentioned throughout the evening, our Buddha Centre in Napier, we've got a outreach centre in Havelock North, our Buddha Centre in Herschel Street. We're regularly running meditation classes, so we do encourage anyone that's got any interest or questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. You've got a brochure that's been sitting on your chair. Please take it with you. With anyone that you know that may have an interest, please share. We have at the centre a small merchandise shop where we sell certain Dharma items, but also we try and carry a number of Rinpoche's books. He's a very accomplished author, and again, these talks, these discussions, he so eloquently puts them in books. Rinpoche has numerous YouTube clips, so a search will find those talks. Through the centre, we are fortunate to have Rinpoche visit us twice a year, so next June will be his next Karma Abiding class where he will present, but we've got our own team that have many years experience in delivering meditation, and we have events and all sorts of things. So we are a group of volunteers. We run purely on donations, effort, love, energy, friendship, so we welcome everyone to come join us. It's a great place to be. So shall we put our hands together and give a warm thank you to Rinpoche. And always, Rinpoche, we look forward to your next visit and your next talk. Thank you.
Next meditation course will start on the 7th of October. It's a course for 8 weeks, every Tuesday night for 2 hours. Inspired, please come along.
Yes?
Rinpoche, when you're talking about all of the difficulties and what happens with people's minds, can you give us any, it feels like at the moment things are getting very difficult in the world around us with all the politics and everything. Can you give us any sense of hope that things will improve?
It will only improve if we know our mind. The world has been like this pretty much quite a lot of the time, because there are more deluded people than not deluded people. So if one individual in every unit of groups of people has a sane and compassionate and wise and tolerant peacemaking strategy, he or she can influence 4 or 5 or 6, and then those 6 will have influence to another 6, and 6 and 6 become 36, and 36 become 300. So we can influence the ripple effect it causes. So we need to therefore teach people how to sight their sanity and develop compassion to those who don't. And even our sanity on its own is no good unless we have compassion to those who lack it. So we don't have shortage of range with whom we can practice compassion too. But at the same time, we should think of all the incredible things that good are happening amidst all this chaos, that we should not be too disheartened by the negative reporting. There's a lot of positive things that never get reported. there's lots of kind people, and without resorting to any religious tradition, but still just be the kind person that they are, and they are in every unit of people. There are someone is always doing that. So we need to acknowledge those unsung heroes and see the good amidst all the difficulties, and therefore emulate their unself-important but selfless behaviors, and not to amplify all the negatives of the world, but also try to highlight all the incredible good that the world has made progress. How many extra 20 years you are able to live because of our 50 years of medical research, and so many selfless people have given their time and knowledge and resources and effort for the betterment of humanity. If you look at the overall effort of humanity, it is quite inspiring. It's just sometimes get whipped and hijacked by negativities, and we get really quickly divided based on race or religion or tribe or ethnicity. These are really tragedy. So when we live in a country like New Zealand, which often is one of the developed countries who always does the first, that few wanted to emulate, because you haven't got anything to lose, because you have your hands clean, so to speak. Whereas other countries' politics, even though the government's leadership is blatantly almost vandalizing some tribes, some communities, they just keep quiet as if nothing's happening. So we need to worry globally, but appreciate locally. I'm sure you have lots of things to appreciate in local community, in your school or community or various activities, and how much good somebody does. When you start looking at those things, and we need to acknowledge those things rather than all the big headlines that the modern negative reporting is causing the havoc in the society. Because we live in such an information technology-driven world, we are consuming those information. So much of our suffering comes from us looking into those windows. If we don't, out of sight, out of mind. We don't know any of those things happening. But if you look at locally, there are a lot more good that in the local level people are doing. And the Buddha said you have to practice middle way, not looking at too much of the negative side of the world, because of all the negativity that's happening, that the world is trying to remedy all of that. The peace movement, for instance, peace movement, which actually has been heeded too since the World War II. There's a lot more peace internationally by the comparison to in the old days. We don't kill as many people these days as they did in those days, because we basically destroy the very things they fired to kill each other. Just anti-missile. They're not killing each other. They're killing missile after missile, missile after missile. So in many ways, the amount of missiles they fire, most of them are just disappear into space. So I was looking at that, all these things that they fire, but they never land. Why? Because they have the technology to destroy them in mid-air. And so they are not killing as many people, but still the cause of conflict is not going, because they can stop the immediate near cause of destruction. They can destroy the weapons. They can destroy weapons against weapon, but they cannot destroy each other's hatred. That's the problem. So the hatred, nobody recognizes. Buddha said one should overcome one's hatred. That's the worst enemy. There's no enemy that is Palestinians or Israelis or Russians or communists or whoever. They're not really real enemies are hatred to whoever. Whoever we have ill will to, they are more destructive than the actual machines and wrong actions people consummate. So that's why if every individual is doing less anger than say 2 years ago, and they no longer hold the ill will anymore, they just see so waste of time, complete crap. And if they're doing that, if we can inform and educate people to do that in our community, which we can through education, and that's the part of the activities of promoting meditation and education, even small acts of mindfulness, school and children, very, very useful. And even as school children, you just do 10 minutes meditation. You don't have to try to impose religiously anything, but just act of mindfulness, kindness, peace. Like I do lots of school groups, visit us. They sometimes bring the chapter subject themselves. They say, Dalai Lama and peace. They said they want us to have me to talk about Dalai Lama and peace, So they associate Dalai Lama with peace, which is really cute, And then they say, they kept little photos of Dalai Lama and how we can promote peace. And so any small acts of kindness that we can promote in the society to promote humanity, to not bias against ethnicity or culture or language or an inherited kind of hate between tribes that is really largely to do with in the Middle East problem is an inherited hate. It's nothing to do with wealth, nothing to do with the water or land. It's all about can't stand each other. And so small-minded. Can't tolerate the sight of those people. They want to decimate them, It's a hell on earth. And that shows how bad Gaza looks or Ukraine and Russian conflict looks. Actually makes us all see how fortunate we are living in a very sane country where we are not dividing each other, but we actually are much more civilized, much more compassionate and tolerant towards each other. So we need to sort of accept the unsatisfactory conflict there are, but at the same time, how much multicultural, multilingual, multiracial, tolerant we are starting to become. Like there's a lot more respect and tolerance to Aboriginal or the native people's land and culture, like in New Zealand, a lot more than it was here 30 years ago, for instance, a lot more. And these things are a good sign. People are learning to respect the past culture and traditions, and it is promoting lots of humanity and friendships. And due to ignorance, due to anger, even non-problem become very easy problems. But due to kindness and acceptance and tolerance and respect, then even big problems dissolves straight away.
Thank you.
So we have good reason to hope. New Zealand is such a good place to see how people can live in peace. There will be always one or two people who will do some nasty things too, because they lose their mind to such things. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.